Welcome, dear listeners, to a conversation that might just make us all think a little harder. Today, we're asking a big question that's on many minds. Is AI making us dumb? We're taking a deep dive into the cognitive cost of convenience. The human brain has always adapted remarkably well to technology, but what happens when the technology starts doing the thinking for us? Let's begin with something many of us use daily: Google Maps. Most of us rely on it constantly. Yet, a 2020 study revealed a hidden cost. Despite the app's utility, frequent use of GPS systems was found to weaken users' spatial memory. Even more interestingly, the users themselves didn't actually believe their sense of direction had declined, even though the data showed otherwise. It seems convenience, in this case, comes with a cognitive price. And that's just an app, not even full-blown AI. So what happens when the tool truly is AI? Around the same time, Professor David Raffo noticed something curious in his students' writing. Before the pandemic, their assessments were often weak and lacked structure. But suddenly, during lockdown, their writing improved drastically, almost too drastically. Suspecting AI, Raffo asked his students directly, and his hunch was correct. He realized, as he put it, that it was the tools that improved their writing, not their writing skills. Now, Raffo wasn't anti-AI at all. He acknowledged the benefits, noting how AI can help with everything from drafting content to problem solving. But he warned us, our cognitive abilities are like muscles. They need regular use to stay strong and vibrant. The real concern, he explained, is that resisting the ease AI offers takes extraordinary discipline. This is where the concept of cognitive atrophy comes in, the gradual weakening of our mental faculties due to over-reliance on external tools. Dr. Anne McKee, an Alzheimer's researcher, emphasized the importance of mental activity to prevent cognitive decline. Staying mentally active actually helps build resilience against diseases like Alzheimer's, and a high cognitive reserve can even offset visible brain damage. Yet, it seems we find ourselves offloading that mental effort more and more. One systematic review looked specifically at the over-reliance on AI dialogue systems in academic settings. The findings were clear. Excessive dependence erodes critical thinking, decision-making, and analytical reasoning. While AI can certainly streamline workflows, it also introduces ethical concerns, things like misinformation, algorithmic bias, plagiarism, privacy breaches, and a lack of transparency. This isn't an entirely new path for technology. Studies have shown how calculators impacted our basic math skills, and autocorrect has diminished our spelling and punctuation accuracy. But now we're in a whole new domain. Tools like ChatGPT, Grok, and Llama don't just support us, they can actually do the thinking for us. Tasks like data entry, customer service, or bookkeeping are already being absorbed by AI. And a worrying trend is emerging: cognitive offloading. This refers to using external tools to reduce the effort needed for thinking or problem solving. In a recent Forbes study, frequent AI users were found to be more likely to rely on technology for decisions, which led to a reduced ability to evaluate or think critically. This cognitive offloading even extends to serious domains, like law enforcement. In 2023, Detroit police used an AI facial recognition tool called DataWorks Plus to solve a robbery case. The AI matched some low-quality footage to a 2015 mugshot. The woman identified, Portia Woodruff, was 8 months pregnant and critically nowhere near the crime scene. Yet she was still arrested. The charges were later dropped, but the damage was done. This wasn't an isolated case. There are currently multiple lawsuits against the Detroit Police Department for similar incidents, all stemming from AI dependence. Why did this happen? Because people trusted the AI, just like with GPS. The errors become incredibly hard to detect when the tool becomes such an integrated part of everyday life. And when you look online, you see the signs everywhere. On platforms like X/Twitter, users now routinely ask AI bots such as Grok to explain even simple tweets. They've effectively outsourced their curiosity. While some users may find value in using AI on social media to save time, the habitual delegation of even the simplest interpretive tasks to AI systems warrants deeper concern. This trend reveals a broader, often subconscious behavioral shift, a collective surrender to algorithmic decision-making. On platforms like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube, often the very gateways through which individuals access content, algorithms largely dictate what users see. The outcome is a subtle but significant erosion of personal agency. Alec Watson from the channel Technology Connections has a term for this phenomenon: algorithmic complacency. He notes that increasingly, users prefer letting computer programs decide their digital experience even when alternative pathways are evidently available. In reflecting on this shift, Watson recalls a time when internet engagement was much more deliberate. Users manually bookmarked pages and meticulously curated their own online experiences. In contrast, today's digital ecosystem fosters a more passive consumption, driven almost entirely by machine-selected content. For individuals entering adulthood in the 2020s, there's a notable trend. Algorithms are often trusted more than human judgment. This trust has consequences. Students who used AI during the pandemic to cut corners in school are now employees relying on AI to write emails, create reports, and even make decisions. Surveys show that 90% of Gen Z employees use 2 or more AI tools weekly. Some argue this is simply working smarter, while others view it as a slow erosion of our mental muscle. We've truly transitioned from the information age into the knowledge age, one shaped not just by facts alone, but by AI-generated interpretations of those facts. But there's a problem. Much of that knowledge is flawed. Google's AI overviews, for instance, once called Obama the first Muslim president, and even claimed snakes were mammals. And it gets even worse. Oxford researchers discovered a phenomenon called model collapse. This happens when AI models are repeatedly fed AI-generated content. The quality degrades rapidly. After just 9 iterations, the output can become gibberish. A separate study by Amazon found that a staggering 60% of today's internet content may already be AI-generated or AI-translated. We're potentially in the midst of what some are calling the AI slop, where the internet effectively feeds itself. This even leads to theories like the dead internet, where bots and AI generate the majority of content. And yet, despite all these concerns, there is hope. AI is still, at its core, a tool. It's not inherently bad. We've faced similar challenges before. When Dan Bricklin and Bob Frankston created VisiCalc, the very first spreadsheet application, in 1979, many feared it would make accountants obsolete. But it didn't. Instead, it greatly enhanced their productivity. The same truth holds for AI today. We must use it as a companion, not a replacement for our own thought. Take its answers with a healthy salt. As Professor Thomas Dietrich wisely put it, large language models are statistical models of knowledge bases. They're not knowledge bases themselves. And therein lies the subtle danger. When the model never refuses, it can invite a false sense of trust even when it absolutely shouldn't. That's why awareness is so incredibly key. We must approach AI in this same mindful way. Let it help us, yes, but crucially, don't let it lead us, because no matter how advanced these systems become, nothing can truly replace the uniquely human ability to think, to reason, and to create.